ability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Brian, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the March 7th to March 13th issue of the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. Headline article, Lawrence Dupre, As We Move Forward, by Julian McGee. February has been a busy month for legislator Lawrence Dupre about representing the first district he represents and making sure that the community had everything needed to get through the winter. With spring around the corner, Mr. Dupre has started his campaign for the primary and general elections ahead. Quote, I received the endorsement on February 10th, 2026 from the Erie County Democratic Committee and the Working Families. I have been in contact with all the unions and am waiting for their responses. I also have been out campaigning and getting ready for my petitions out for people to sign on February 24th, 2026, said Mr. Dupre. Mr. Dupre wants the community to take part in various programs on Black history. On February 10th, 2026, he presented awards to Chief Thelma Jones of C District Police Station for all her hard work and dedication in the community by keeping our streets safe. Awards were also given to Mr. Frank Merriweather III and his family for 100 years of dedication and publishing the Buffalo Criterion newspaper. This event, given by Janetta R. Cole, American Vets Post 24, and the African American Veterans Arts and Culture Corporation as part of their Black History celebration. On February 26, 2026, during a legislative session, Mr. Dupre and 2nd District Legislator Tanisha St. John Tard honored local African American newspapers, the Buffalo Challenger newspaper, the Buffalo Criterion newspaper, and Reverend Timothy Newkirk to close out Black History Month. Mr. Dupre was at the Broadway Market greeting local African American vendors and spending time with Janetta R. Cole, American Vets Post 24. For the month of March 2026, Mr. Dupre wants the community to know about a few events happening as the weather gets better by contacting him at 716-893-0585 and to keep up with all of the latest information. People can email him at lawrence.dupre@erie.gov, or they can stop by the office at 1367 Fillmore Avenue by appointment only. Finally, Mr. Dupre wants everyone to save this date, March 28, 2026, for the community Easter egg hunt at the Johnny B. Wiley Amateur Sports Pavilion, located at 1100 Jefferson Ave, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is an event for all ages, and light refreshments will be served during the egg hunt. This is a free event for the community and sponsored by the Winslow 2 Block Club, Johnny B. Wiley Block Club, and One Buffalo organizations. The Salvation Army's Family Resource Center, located at 1000 Main Street, has an emergency food pantry that's open on Mondays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Wednesdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Fridays 9 p.m. are 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. People needing this service must have identification, including members of the household and reusable bags. For more information, please call 716-888-6230. Next article. Dennis leaps forward. Buffalo track star eyes Olympic gold. Hello everyone, my name is McKee Dennis, and I am here to share my track and field story with everyone. My journey with running track began while I made the varsity team in the 8th grade, but I was brand new to hurdles. I would run my hardest, but I was unable to win first place. I was disappointed when I could not win at the state or national levels. My tears would flow as I dreamed of improving to meet to the next level in the hurdles. Patience and hard work helped me improve during the 8th grade. However, I was inconsistent in my prayer at the time and wondered why the hurdles I had a difficult time. At the end of my 8th grade season, in June, I buried my head in my pillow, cried and asked God, why am I not good enough? Fast forward to freshman year, I decided to get right with God and prayed. I went from the worst in my section to a top 5 rank by the end of the season. By my sophomore year, I realized my potential. I qualified for the state championships and competed at the Ocean Breeze for the first. I lost, but this did not deter me from making a strong return. My continued training allowed me to win a national championship in outdoor track. I became an All-American hurdler during my sophomore year. I trained with persistence and grit from the summer to winter to prepare for my junior year indoor track season. But God poured His blessing onto me. I qualified for the state title again, broke my school state record, and won the section title that season. Our loving God made this possible, and without Him, it would not have been possible. My immediate goal is to bring the gold back to Buffalo, but my future goal is to win gold at the Olympics. I have worked countless hours to get where I am in the sport. All glory to God. So now I will let the Lord lead me to greatness. Amen. Vaping Awareness Month spotlights addiction to electronic cigarettes. New York State outline offers a variety of free resources to overcome vaping, including confidential Drop the Vape texting program. To highlight Vaping Awareness Month in March, the New York State Quit Line reminds all state residents that its free and confidential services for support of overcoming addiction to a variety of tobacco products. This includes electronic cigarettes, often referred to as vapes or vape products. Most vape products contain toxic chemicals that can lead to a variety of harms, including damage to the brain and lungs. High concentrations of nicotine can lead to addiction, especially amongst youth and young adults. New York State Quit Line participants often cite difficulty breathing, lack of focus and impulse control, and feelings of depression among the negative side effects they encounter when vaping. Fortunately, the New York State Quit Line has continued to evolve and broaden its services to support those seeking to overcome addiction to vaping. In 2019, it became one of the first state quit lines in the nation to provide nicotine replacement therapy, known as NRT, medications for those responding to having vape use. In addition, the New York State Quit Line in 2025 launched Drop the Vape, a free and confidential 6-week texting program geared towards youth and young adults. The program, available at www.dropthevape.org, provides skill-building tools for successful quitting. In its annual roundup of success stories throughout the state this past January, the New York State Quit Line celebrated 2 young women in Manhattan who each overcame vaping addiction. With the New York State Quit Line's free resources, Diara S. and Julia B. received coaching from NRT in the form of patches and lozenges. Both switched from cigarettes to vapes early in their 20s, only to find themselves addicted to a different type of product. The Quit Coach helped me visualize my life without vapes, recalled Diara. I really appreciated the following up calls. The support helped me stay focused on the journey. Vaping made it hard to do physical activity for a long period of time. My breathing hurt during long runs, said Julia. Now I feel so much better mentally and physically. It's a different world. Anyone seeking assistance to become tobacco-free may contact the New York State Quit Line by calling 1-866-NY-QUITS, which is 1-866-697-8487. They can reach a specialist through an online chat or requesting a callback by visiting New York Smoke Free. Adults 18 years or older can also order free NRT medications online. The New York State Quit Line additionally offers free text support programs by visiting www.dropthevape.now and by texting "quit now" or in Spanish, to spell it out, DEJELOYANY to 333-888. The month of March, Vaping Awareness Month, is an opportune time for anyone addicted to vape products to make a quit attempt. The New York State Outline encourages everyone to try the new Drop the Vape texting and to continue with a Quit Coach through phone or online for additional support. At a minimum, practice fewer puffs little by little until feeling ready to quit. Improved health, money savings, and renewed freedom are just 3 of numerous benefits to tobacco-free living. The New York State Quit Line is ready to help. Finally, the term tobacco throughout this press release refers to the use of manufactured, combustible, commercial products and vape products, not the sacred medicinal and traditional use of tobacco by Native American nations and other indigenous groups. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. RAP campaign statement on New York Comptroller report on crisis of aging in New York prisons. New York State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli released a new report, Post-COVID Trends in New York's Aging Prison Population, which details the rise in older adults behind bars and recommends that state lawmakers consider parole reforms and other measures to safely reduce the number of older adults in state prisons. In response, Jose Saldana, director of the Release Aging People in Prison campaign, known as RAPP, R-A-P-P, and a survivor of 38 years in New York State prisons, and a crime survivor, released the following statement. Comptroller DiNapoli said, New York must confront the challenges of an older, incarcerated population, and we agree. The solution is clear. Lawmakers must finally enact the elder parole and fair and timely parole bills, two common-sense measures included in the Comptroller's report that would establish reasonable pathways to release based on a person's transformation in prison and current risk to public safety. The evidence is clear that forcing completely rehabilitated older adults to spend their final years in prison costs a fortune and delivers zero public safety benefit. They have the lowest rates of reoffending once released and the highest medical bills while imprisoned. Crime victim advocates, racial justice leaders, organized labor, district attorneys, attorney general, and defense attorneys alike support these measures because they will not only make the system more fair, but will also allow the state to put its limited resources toward what actually keeps New Yorkers safe. In addition, Ruth Finkelstein, executive director of Hunter College's Brookdale Center for Healthy Aging, said, New York cannot be a state that claims to protect the dignity and well-being of older adults if it continues down this path of warehousing them infinitely and indefinitely in brutal prisons. Our state's prisons have hospital wards for people with terminal illnesses and whole units for people with dementia. We do not oppose the existence of these units, but rather the need for them. Prisons shouldn't be nursing homes or morgues. The average age of death in state prisons is only 56. We know, based on years of study and building relationships with former incarcerated elders, that older adults have created and led the most effective rehabilitative programs for people incarcerated, transforming attitudes and behaviors and improving safety for everyone. When given a chance to return to our communities, they continue to show leadership and serve others. Lawmakers must pass the elder parole and fair and timely parole bills this session. Background. The report's top lines include 1. As the overall prison population declines, the percentage of incarcerated individuals who are 50 and older increased. In 2019, this older population made up of 21% of those incarcerated in New York, up from 12% in 2008. By 2025, the percentage had increased to 22.3%. One reason is a decrease in parole releases for older adults. Secondly, the number of incarcerated people between the ages of 60 and 69 years and 79 years old has grown in number and is a share of the total population. Together, they were nearly 9% of the overall population in 2025. Third, when older individuals are released into the community, data published by the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, also known as DOCCS, show they present the lowest rates of recidivism. For releases that occurred between 2008 and 2021, the rate of recidivism within recent years for a new felony offense is 3.3 for those ages and 1.7 for those older than 70. Third, per person cost of health services spent by DOCCS has risen from the state fiscal year of 2013 to $14,000 in the state fiscal year of 2025, being a 138% increase. Fourth up, the report uplifts policy changes under consideration in the legislature, including the elder parole and the timely parole bills, as well as sentencing returns, which could address what the report calls, quote, the challenges of an older incarcerate population. At least 160 people have died in New York prisons since Robert Brooks was brutally murdered by a mob of white prison guards and sergeants, according to DOCCS data. The average age of death in state prisons is only 56. The People's Campaign for Parole Justice is calling on lawyers in Albany to pass two bills that together will ensure that people in prison have meaning and opportunities for individualized consideration for parole release based on who they are today, what they have done to change, and what they pose a risk to if released. Next up, fair and timely parole restores the parole board to its original purpose for evaluating people's readiness for release, rather than denying people based solely or primarily on their conviction, while preserving the board's discretion to make individualized determinations. In other words, it would provide more rigorous parole reviews for people who are already been incarcerated. Next up, elder parole provides for parole release consideration on a case-by-case basis for people classified by DOCCS as older adults who have served more than 15 years. More than a dozen of the state's leading crime victim and survivor advocates, also anti-violence advocates, are calling for the passage of the elder parole and the fair and timely parole bills, including the New York State Coalition Against Sexual Assault, New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, and more. These bills are part of a group backed by 350 plus partners, including public defense organizations and district attorneys alike, as well as at least two former New York State Parole Commissioners, the Reverend Al Sharpton, the NAACP, 7 United States Congress members, Newburgh Mayor Torrance Harvey, the Rochester City Council, Ulster County legislators, the New York City Council, Albany's Common Council, President and Chief Auditor, the State Society on Aging, the ATI and Reentry Coalition, and the New York City Bar Association, and many others. Attorney General Tish James backs elder parole. According to a report by NYU Law School Center on Race, Inequality, and the Law, racial disparities in parole release decisions under Governor Kathy Hochul are not doing well and are the highest on record. The report finds there have been 4,152 more grants of release of people of color if their release rates matched those of white people since 2016, including 1,338 just since Governor Hochul took office. An earlier report by State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli about the unsustainable rise in the population of older adults in prison cells calls for expanding pathways to release. The Center for Justice at Columbia University has estimated that enacting both bills would save $522 million annually. 24 states have some form of elder parole. New York State is not yet one of them. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Oswego County resident pleads guilty to insurance fraud. A Central Square, New York man who claimed he could not work because of an ankle injury sustained in the course of his work as a painter admitted in court today that he was in fact back on the job, painting properties while collecting over $10,000 in workers' compensation and wage replacements total benefits. The defendant, Christopher Kronk, 58, made the admission as part of his plea in Onondaga County Court before the Honorary Gordon Cuffey to insurance fraud in the third degree, a Class D felony, following an investigation by the New York State Workers' Compensation Fraud Inspector General Lucy Lang. Kronk was injured in March 2021 while employed by Cutting Edge Painting in Webster, New York, and began receiving wage replacement benefits through the New York State Workers' Compensation Board shortly after. Benefits that are intended to support injured workers who cannot earn a paycheck while they recover. But by March 2022, Kronk had resumed paid painting work at the private properties and businesses. Surveillance footage captured him working, witnessing statements confirmed, and bank records reflected payment. Even as he worked, Kronk continued to certify to his insurance carrier, the New York State Insurance Fund, that he had not engaged in any employment. On official work activity forms submitted in April and May 2022, he falsely answered no when asked whether he had been performed any work or pay during his injury. Those misrepresentations allowed him to collect benefits through August of 2022, totaling $10,000 and $494, so $10,494, to which he was not entitled. Workers' compensation exists to protect injured workers during recovery, not to underwrite disclosed employment or serve as a second paycheck. When someone chooses to collect benefits while they are secretly working, they road trust in a system that depends on honesty. Today's plea reinforces that accountability matters. The investigation was conducted by Inspector General Lang's Western Regional Office, led by Deputy Chief Investigator Joel Mercer and Senior Investigative Counsel Jill Florkowski, under the supervision of Deputy Inspector General Jeffrey Hagan and Chief Inspector Martin Sanford. Inspector General Lang offered thanks to the New York State Insurance Fund for its cooperation in the investigation and the Onondaga District Attorney Office for their partnership in prosecuting this matter. Small businesses fighting to survive on the East Side, by Betty Jean Grant. This writer believes that the 2026 will be the year when a lot of long-standing changes to black businesses on Buffalo's east side will close their doors for the final time. After struggling for the last 10 years in a 46-year run, Grant's Variety Shop will officially close its door for good this year. The store on East Ferry Street was a mainstay on the East Ferry, Moselle Street, Bozos Corridor since we opened our doors in 1980. Our quaint little variety store lived up to its name. We sold a lot of this and that, and a little bit of everything. Our store became the neighborhood hangout when the additional video game craze took over the recreational time of kids after school let out for the day. Grant's had as many as 4 games at one time. It was not unusual to see 10 or more teens or younger waiting their turn for a chance to show their skills playing games such as Space Invaders, Mario Brothers, Hamburglar, and the most popular of all time, Pac-Man. Yes, Grant's Variety Shop was a true neighborhood place where the youth loved to patronize because the store provided a safe and interactive space for them, where they relaxed and felt safe instead of worrying about the gang violence and drug activities around their neighborhoods. There were certain rules that had to follow, such as no cussing, no fighting, no bullying, and no stealing. There were no posted rules, but the children knew those rules and would admonish whenever it was who was to step out or talk out of line. Sadly, as this neighborhoods closed or purchased by others, the connections to the community were lost. Black families who had owned and operated their businesses for generations sold their stores for a huge amount of money or forced out when a similar business opened, literally next door to them. Most owners took the cash, sometimes stored and stacked in suitcases that were physically brought into stores to cement the deal. In a space of less than 4 years between 1984 and 1988, hundreds of long-established legacy businesses had changed hands, therefore making the African American community consumers instead of sellers. This year, when Grant's Variety Shop closes for good, it will join the black community's commercial gems such as Gigi's, Bellamy Liquors, Colston's Gas Station, Rick's Steakhouse, John Young's Wings and Things, Snowflake Cleaners, New Skateland, Maddie's Texas Hots, Jim Bell Cleaners, Pixie Bar and Grill, as well as Henry's Hamburgers, and a whole lot more. It has been one heck of a run, and I would not have traded the experience for anything. Thank you, Buffalo. Next up, trumped up war. Quote, Albert Einstein, I know not what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. By Frank Gist. After years of anticipation, the war with Iran is on and popping now. Israel and America perpetrated a sneak attack on the sovereign state of Iran, formerly Persia, last week, killing their supreme leader and several members of the Iranian leadership. Whether the mainstream media or not will admit it, Donald Trump just set off World War III and led straight into an apocalypse. I found it hilarious when days after the first attack, lying Trump flipped the script by pulling a Jedi mind trick on the American people, declaring Iran started the conflict and it will be over with in a few weeks. The sad part is there will be low IQ people that will forever believe this war was started by the Persian predators of the Middle East, just as there are still people that believe 9/11 was the reason America attacked Afghanistan and Iraq. As of this writing, it appears Iran is putting up a valiant and effective fight, pummeling Israel with hypersonic missiles, shooting down fighter jets, and killing American soldiers. Some pundits and military brass are suggesting both America and Israel cannot maintain a sustained attack and could be a problem, whereas Iran has been preparing for this war for a decade and are in it for the long haul. What worries many pundits and me is the fact that Israel will not allow defeat and will survive by any means necessary. If the war goes south for Israel and too much damage is inflicted there is little doubt that Netanyahu will go nuclear and obliterate the Persian problem in a flash. Netanyahu, in so many words, has stated that his first speech after the war began, dropping a nuclear bomb would be a quick and inexpensive way to get rid of Iran forever. It will be justified as Israel's self-preservation of the last resort. They will say that the Iranians won the war because there had been a new Holocaust on the Jewish people. They will also try to justify it biblically, saying if God was to kill 1 million in a flash from the heavens. American media will push that BS narrative down the throats of every American until every good citizen will believe dropping a nuclear bomb was justifiable for Israel. And no one in the world will not lift a finger to condemn Israel or rescue Iran. Any nuclear nation that has the power to exact justice to Israel will also have to get around America, which would undoubtedly lead to a worldwide Armageddon. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Service. Fear Framed as Fairness, an American Pattern, by Norman Franklin. Campaigning for the primaries is in full circus frenzy mode. The candidate emerging from this free-for-all will advance to the November general election. Integrity, respect, and rhetoric that unifies are never spoken. The speakers of fear is employed. We are a society of reasonably intelligent people. We are a nation that boasts our grounding in faith principles. We are a country where integrity, decency, and respect for all common man are ingrained in the creed of freedom and justice for all. The promise is not situational. It's not practiced at the will of convenience. It's why the stars and stripes flutter in the wind. But the calculated campaign rhetoric inverts fairness and fear. When the loss of status is threatened, that is the ace card up the sleeve. Politicians are skillfully adroit house dealers. Politics are the ideological identity of the nation. Political leaders are elected to carry out the will of the people. Calculated rhetoric manipulates the electorate with emotions rather than with policy platforms that offer concrete solutions. Immigrants, policies, and programs promoting equity become the targets of ridicule and exploitation. It's a repeated pattern employed to resist social reforms and political reckoning. Two candidates are vying for the seat, the now Senate seat, of retiring Mitch McConnell. Senator McConnell represents roughly 4.5 million residents of Kentucky. The demographics, nearly 87% white, with small percentages of African Americans, Hispanic, and Asian constituents. Candidates in the primaries employ the means necessary to get to the November general election. Fear and exaggerated promises are the rails of the candidates' ride through the primary landscape. The rhetoric is dismissive. One candidate unapologetically stated DEI stands for dumb, evil indoctrination. If this candidate wins, can the African American, Hispanic, and Asian constituents expect equitable representation? The other candidate will champion deportations of immigrants. They are taking our jobs. They are criminals and thugs. They threaten the safety and security of our communities. Both voters' appeals promote exclusion. It's a bipartisan American pattern. The fear, fairness, and threat narratives motivate voters. Here's the distinction. Republican fear rhetoric historically emphasized crime, coded racial disorder, immigration, cultural decline, government favoritism towards minorities, and status displacement. Whereas Democrats' fear rhetoric more often emphasized economic collapse, loss of social safety nets, war, healthcare insecurity, and climate catastrophe. Richard Nixon framed urban unrest, crime, and social disorder to justify his administration's platform of law and order. The recommendations of the Kerner administration were not implemented. Nixon exploited law and order. Ronald Reagan, the quintessential Republican, weaponized welfare and harnessed the fear of government overreach. Reducing welfare and shrinking government was restoring fairness to, quote, hardworking families. George H.W. Bush radicalized crime. Willie Horton exemplified violent crime, criminal leniency, and racialized danger. Bill Clinton endorsed the 1994 crime bill. Barack Obama's financial collapse and loss of health care exploited the fear of losing safety nets during the Great Recession. Fear motivates reaction on any level. Both parties exploited fears. It's a pattern of American political control. Nixon, Reagan, and Bush messaging often framed the protection of traditional order as fairness. Democratic messaging more often framed protection of vulnerable groups as fairness. Fairness is relative. It always favored those in power. The marginalized, the vulnerable become a useful convenience. The electorate follows your emotion. Roswell Park's Eddy unit rolls into Buffalo. Could this be life-saving for you? Lung cancer remains the nation's deadliest cancer, claiming more lives each year than colorectal, pancreatic, and breast cancers combined. And this spring, Roswell Park Comprehensive Center is taking the fight directly to Buffalo's doorstep. Their early detection driven to you, EDDY, EDDY, mobile lung screening will pull up to the Compass East building at 425 Michigan Ave on March 19th, April 6th, and June 16th and 17th, offering residents a rare opportunity to access fast, painless, potentially life-saving screenings right in their own neighborhood. Designed to break down barriers like lack of transportation, the EDDY program brings high-quality care to communities that need it most. The unit is staffed by Roswell Park's specially trained team, who also work to raise awareness about the critical importance of catching lung cancer early. But the central question for many is simple. Do you or someone you love qualify? Lung screenings are available to people 50 or older who have a history of 20 years of heavy smoking, and have smoked within the past 15 years. For those who meet the guidelines, the process is quick, safe, and remarkably easy. Since spots are limited, advanced registration and approval are required. Walk-ins cannot be accommodated. To find out whether or not you're eligible, please contact 1-800-767-9355 or visit www.roswellpark.org/EDDY. With lung cancer claiming so many lives, early detection could change everything. And this spring, that chance might be waiting just outside your door. Please pre-register by calling 1-800-ROSWELL or heading to www.roswellpark.org/EDDY to fill out a screening form to check if you are eligible. Volunteers Needed for Veterans Parade by Julianne McGee. The 5th Annual African Americans Veterans Arts and Cultural Parade is set for Saturday, August 29th, 2026 at 2 p.m., rain or shine. The parade committee is seeking volunteers as flag and barrier carriers and reenactor to wear period costumes, plus many more possessions to help. Kids and young adults are encouraged to be in the parade and ride their bikes, skateboards, rollerblades, and roller skates. They can also dress up as their favorite superhero costume as well. The parade committee is also looking for sponsors to submit to be placed in the souvenir journal, and organizations can also participate in the parade by carrying their company banner. The parade will start at the corner of Jefferson and Riley Street and end at the end of Johnny B. Wiley Sports Pavilion, located at 1100 Jefferson and Dodge Streets. For more information, please contact Mrs. Latrice Gray, Volunteer Chairman, at 716-816-5052, or Mrs. Deborah M. Ransom at 716-563-2653. Parade meetings are held every Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the C District Police Station, located on the corner of East Ferry and Fillmore Avenue. At Western New York Book Arts Center, 18th Annual Edible Book Festival. Western New York Book Arts Center is proud to announce our 18th Annual Edible Book Festival, to be held at 468 Washington Street in downtown Buffalo on Saturday, March 28, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We want to know, what does your favorite book taste like? The Edible Book Festival is a family-friendly international festival held annually on or around April 1st, inviting participants to create edible creations inspired by a book. Edible book creations are ranked by judges, local celebrity judges, and the winning artist chefs are awarded with surprise prizes. Then we eat our words. All are welcome to participate in eating the books after winners are announced. The Edible Book Foundation Fundavizzle is fun for all ages. In addition to the edible book exhibition, competition, and ingestion, festivals include basket raffles, literary vendors, and hands-on bookmaking and printmaking workshops in our studio. Create your own edible book with chance to win prizes. Registration is open until Friday, March 27th, to enter a 100% edible and handmade edible book. Community members of all skill levels and ages are encouraged to submit. We have 2 age categories: youth and family, and adults. The submission fee is $8. Those who submit an edible book to the contest receive 2 free admissions. Attend and discover. What does your favorite book taste like? Admission to the event is $5. Purchase tickets at the door or pre-purchase tickets online. Children under 5 are free. Proceeds from ticket sales, entry fees, and ongoing programming at the Western New York Book Arts Center. For information on this, please visit www.wnybookarts.org/edible book festival. Preserving the book arts through collaboration and innovation, the Western New York Book Arts Center is a nonprofit community print shop and working museum. The Western New York Book Arts Center promotes the transformative power of print and book arts through community-focused creation, education, and exhibitions. Book Arts is located at 468 Washington D. Street, Buffalo, New York 14203. For more information, visit www.wnybookarts.com. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the most recent issue of the Buffalo Criterion, March 7th to March 13th. We read from the Criterion every Friday at 7 p.m. Your reader has been Brian. Thank you for reading and listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the New York Times. Following that at 9 o'clock, we have Buffalo Spree. And at 10 o'clock, we have episode number 5 of The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. Stay with us for these readings and more. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555.
is Mark Grier. And today, for the next hour, I'll be reading